All right. So just to be sure again, you can see my screen and you can hear me well, right? Okay. Lydia, I think Emma said it's where he is, it's raining. So, but then if you can also, I tried to just to give you hints on how I try to make my sessions go is I try to make it conversational. So since we are not much here, maybe you might just have to unmute your mic unless where you are is noisy, which I don't think. But then if it's not noisy, just unmute your mic so we can just get the conversation going. It makes it fast. I don't know if that'll be okay. Hmm, okay. Okay, so um I don't know if you've seen the curriculum for today. Today it's functional programming, which is the first part of it, and this is free code camp. Do you have an account in free code camp? Okay. So that's what we'll be using today basically. So the way it is, I don't know if you've tried using it before, but the way free code camp is after they've written all their stories, they will give you something to do, and you need to do that thing to progress to the next section. So basically, you will be the one today. You'll be the one, or the both of you, you and Ima, you'll be the one doing the task. While we just try and explain where possible, where necessary, try and explain how you can go about achieving the task. So with that said, I think I can now start proper. Excuse me. Oh, where are you? Okay. Okay. So today again is functional programming, and this few sections, the first two pages of it is just this like general introduction. So more of stories. But then before I go into this, okay, let me just read this. Then I'll try and. You said have you done JavaScript before, Lydia, Emmanuel? Any of you? You've done JavaScript before? You've written function before? You know what a function is, right? Yeah, exactly. That's just what I'm asking for. Basically, function, and then yeah, Olumide. I remember the name. Oh, Olumide. Yeah, I remember the name. How are you? Olumide, welcome in. Good afternoon, sir. So you're the last class, so you already know how it goes now. So just try. Let's try and make it conversational so that we enjoy our time here, right? Okay. Yeah. So I'm starting. So basically, I will just read through all of these theoretical parts, and then this assignment is actually simple. It's cheap, so okay, just move on. So learning about functional programming. Functional programming is a style of programming where solutions are simple, isolated functions, are simple isolated functions without any side effects outside of the function scope. So basically, it's input, processing, output. What you give to the function, it processes it and then gives you an output back. Functional programming is about isolated functions. There is no dependency on the state of the program, which includes global variables that are subject to change. Two, pure functions. The same input always gives the same output. The third one is functions with limited side effects. Any changes or mutation to the state of the program outside the function are carefully controlled. So basically, that's just like a brief introduction, brief story of what functional programming is. So the first task here is, like I said, simple. It's okay. Let me just go ahead and read it. The members of Free Code Camp happen to love tea. In the code editor, which is this part, the prepare t and get t for functions are already defined for you. So this is the prepare t, and this is the get t function. It said call the get t function to get 40 cups of tea for the team and store them in the T14 FCC variable. So they are saying that we should call this to get 40 cups of tea and then store whatever it is that is returned. That's the 40 cups of tea. We should store it in this variable. So this is just like basic function. So how can we go about resolving this? Anybody. Should I call name? Okay. Lydia, let's start with you. Ladies first, Abby. So let's start with you. How should we resolve this? Wow. Uh, you guys can still hear me, right? Oh wow. Hello, can anybody hear me? I can't hear you. I can hear you clearly. What do you say? Hello? Oh, you guys were not hearing me. Wow. Wow. And I was here waiting for response. So how far did you guys hear? How much of what I said did you guys hear? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I think we are good then. All right, so that's still where we are. You've answered the question. But you understand what's to be done here. You understand the problem. Lydia, do you understand it? Hello, Lydia. I can hear you. Okay, so what should we do? How are we going to resolve this? How can we resolve this? Sorry, give me a minute, please. Okay, is it better now? Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. So I was asking, do you understand what the problem is? Do you understand what we're asked to do here? Okay, okay, so what should I pass in here? Yeah, I've called the getT function. I need to pass in something. What should I pass in? All right. Yeah. You know why that's everybody, we all understand why that is now, right? Please, if you don't understand why, let me know so I can explain. Okay. All right. The next one, understanding functional programming terminologies. In FCC, which is in FCC team, sorry, the FCC team had a mood swing and now wants two types of tea. Green tea, just like a follow up on the previous example. Now they don't just want 40 cups of green tea. Now they want green tea and black tea. Now with that information, we will need to revisit the get tea function from last challenge to handle various tea requests. We can modify get tea to accept a function as a parameter to be able to change the type of tea it prepares. This makes get tea more flexible and gives the programmer more control when client requests change. So, okay, it's still reading on it, but first let's cover some functional terminology. Callbacks. This one is a functional terminology. Callbacks are functions that are slipped. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Did Was that same for everybody? Okay. No problem. So, callbacks, they are functions that are slipped or passed into another function to decide the invocation of that function. A lot of English. Basically, just saying that when you, like I called getT, if I pass in another function to getT, we'll see a use, for example, very soon. We'll start working on maps and filters. But then this is just saying that when you call a function and then you pass in another function into it, it's a callback. That function that you're passing into the function is a callback function. Now you may have seen them pass to other methods. For example, the in filter. We see this very soon. The callback function tells JavaScript the criteria for how to filter an array. Functions that can be assigned to a variable passed into another function or returned from another function, just like any other normal value, are called first class functions. In JavaScript, all functions are first class function. So if all functions are first class function, that means this that you are seeing right here now, this getT function and this property, they are all they are examples of first class function. Then the next one is saying function that makes a function, sorry, that takes a function as an argument or return a function as a return value are called higher order function. And then I think the last one, when functions are passed into or returned from another function, then those functions which were passed in or returned can be called a lambda function. Now, if you see something, there's similarity between this and callback function. Callback function, lambda function says when you pass a function into another function. Meanwhile, callback says function that has slipped or passed into another function. So when I checked, when I checked, it says that all lambda functions, they are anonymous function. They don't have name. You get, lambda functions are anonymous function. Why callback functions? All lambda functions are callback functions, but not all callback functions are lambda functions. Now, callback functions can either be anonymous or they can have name. So that's the difference between it. Do you understand? Yeah. So callback functions can either be anonymous or they have name, but then lambda functions, they are always anonymous function. Okay, so setting all of those stories aside, we need to solve this problem here. Our team, they're experiencing mood swing and they don't want green tea anymore. So now they say we should prepare 27 cups of green tea and 13 cups of black tea and then store them in these variables. So who's going to solve this for us? This is the green tea here, this is the black tea here, and we should call this, and then we are supposed to pass in the function and the name and store them in the respective variables. So how do we go about this? Okay, should I call him? All right. So, Olumide. Oh, did someone raise hands? Yes. Okay, 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 okay. All right. So how do we go about this? Okay. Okay. So yeah, which function am I calling? Now we have three functions. We have get t, and we have prepare black and prepare again green. So which of them am I calling here first? No. Okay, look at this part of the problem. It's saying note that the get t function has to be modified so it can now take a function as its first argument. Yeah, good. So which function am I calling here first now? Mm, okay, so mm, okay, we'll call this one. We'll call this one. Yeah, and then I'll pass in what? This one is for unity. So I'm passing which one? This, right? Okay. So what's number of cups for green tea? Yeah. So I guess repeat same thing, but then just change the parameters that I'm passing. So I'll call this, and then I'll pass in what here? Yep. And how many cups of black tea do we need? 13. Let's see. Yippee! Yeah. So that's it. That's for that. Well, we all understand that, right? Okay. Now let me be frank. This particular session is tricky. It's tricky, yeah. So please let's try and pay attention here. So understanding the hazards of using imperative code. Functional programming is a good habit. It keeps your code easy to manage and saves you from sneaky bugs. But before we get there, let's look at an imperative approach to programming to highlight where you may have issues. In English, the imperative tense is used to give commands. Similarly, An imperative style in programming is one that gives the computer a set of statements to perform a task. Often, the statements change the state of the program, like updating global variables. A classic example is writing a for loop that gives exact directions to iterate over the indices of an array. In contrast, functional programming is a form of declarative programming. You tell the computer what you want done by calling a method or function. JavaScript offers many predefined methods that handle common tasks, so you don't need to write out how the computer should perform them. For example, instead of using the for loop mentioned above, you could call the map method, which handles the details of iterating over an array. This helps to avoid semantic errors like the off by one error. Now consider the scenario where you are browsing the web in your browser and wants to track the tabs you have opened. Let's try to model this using some simple object-oriented code. A window object, now it has started explaining what's happening. A window object is made up of tabs, and you usually have more than one window open. That's true. The titles of each of sorry the title of the titles of each open site in each window object is held in an array. After working in the browser, opening new tabs, merging window and closing tabs, you want to print the tabs that are still open. Closed tabs are removed from the array and new tabs, for simplicity, get added to the end of the list of it. The code editor shows an implementation of this functionality with functions for tab open, tab close, and join. The array tabs is part of the window object that stores the name of the open pages. Now, examine the code in the editor. It's using the method that has side effects in the program, causing incorrect behavior. The final list of open tabs stored in final tabs or tabs should be this, but the list produced by the code is slightly different. Now, let's compare the list. This is the list that is produced by the code, and they are saying it's supposed to be this. Now, if you look, we have FB, we have Twitter, we have Reddit, we have Twitter, we have Medium, we have NewTab, we have Netflix, we have YouTube, but here we have Vine, and it's not here. Here we have Gmail, we have Workmail here, why it's not here. Then we have Docs, Free Code Camp, and then NewTab. So they're saying that we should examine this code and try to figure out why, what happened. So let me walk you through the code, and then let me walk you through the code first and see if anybody can figure it out before I solve it. Now here, the window object is created and it has a few tabs. And here we added, if you remember the object-oriented lesson, this is how you add a function to the prototype of an object. That's what they are doing here. They added the join function, and what the join function does is it takes a window and then concatenates the tabs of that window to the current window object. So that's what you're seeing here. These two tabs goes to these two tabs, concatenate other windows dot tabs. So this is the function handling the join activity. Why here? This is the function handling the opening of a new tab. So just ignore this. This is not being used right now. So what's just happening here is when you click on open new tab, the new tab item is pushed into the array, like you can see here, right? Now for the closing of tab, this is where the side effect is. For the closing of tab, see what's happening. First of all, Do we know how splice works? Do we know how splice work? Yeah, yeah. Before I think that would be the last thing we do today. That's the last part of the section. We see how it works. But then, um, let me see if I can explain. Okay, I'm trying to say which is better. If so, solve the problem and then explain, or explain and then try to see if you can solve the problem. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Okay, so let me just walk you through the code and then at least I know what's happening. So tabs before index. No, now the way splice works is when you're calling splice, you pass the start and you pass the end index. So what that means is if if um if for example this is for closing of tabs, right? So what's closing of tab means is the index that I pass into this function is what the function is going to pop out of my array. So now tab before index is, for example, if I pass, can we see, you can see this array, right? Okay, so for example, if I will know how array works. The index of an array starts from 0, so it's 0 1 2 3 4 and just like that. Yeah. Okay, so that means the index of this one is what? So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So if I pass in 3, that means I'm telling the function to pop Twitter out of my array. So what splice does is splice starts counting from this 0. So it goes 0 1 2. It stops. It doesn't add this. It doesn't consider this. That's why you see the task before index. So if I pass in index 3, it returns everything, every item before the index that I passed. That's what is happening here. Now tabs after index. So this is index plus 1. So if I pass in 3, in other words, I'm telling that it should return every other thing plus 1, which is 3 plus 1, that's index 4. So it's going to start from 4 and return every other thing from here to the end. Since I didn't pass an end to my array here. I didn't pass an end to my array here. So it's going to return every other thing from index 4 till the ending. So that's the tabs after index. Yeah. But now the problem is, yeah, if you look at it like this, everything seems to be working fine. But then the problem is, it's not giving us what we actually need. There are some items that are missing from our array. So the way to solve this problem is simply this. There are two ways to solve this problem. I can either remove this and then I do this and then the problem is solved. Or I leave it like this, remove this, and then I do this. The problem is solved. Do you understand why? Do you understand why? Okay. Okay. Now, splice. The way splice works is splice modifies the original array. That's this splice, the one with P, this correct one now. Splice modifies the original array. Meanwhile, the other one, slice, does not. Slice makes a copy of the array and then works on that copy and returns the result back to you. Meanwhile, your original array still remains untouched. Yeah. So if splice modifies original array, I try to think of splice like me sharing my cake. If you take a piece of cake from, if I cut for you a piece of cake, that gap is already there. My original cake has been modified, so it's no longer a complete cake. There will be space where you take your slice from, right? You get it? So that's like how I try to think of splice. If I'm using splice, that means I want to change this original item that I'm working on, this original array that I'm working on. But then why is this part causing the error? Why is it that I need to pass in 1? Do you understand? Does anybody understand why? Look at it again. The first time, the first time we they will pass in close tab save. The first time, yeah. Okay, let me copy. Let me copy. Okay, I think I have it somewhere here. I have this somewhere here. Okay, here. I think this is it. Okay. Now this is me using. Let me splice. Let me splice here. Let me splice here. Now when I run this program, what is to concentrate on is this part. This is the original array. This is the original array, right? So yeah, so this part now I'm telling splice to start at index 0 and stop just before index 3, right? Yeah, and then okay, I'll leave this. And then here I'm telling splice to start at index 3 plus 1, that's index 4. That's this part, right? And then go on all through the ending. Now let me show you. So concentrate on this and concentrate on this. Now if you see what happens, the first time, when this first part ran, yeah, it returned this first 3 item from our array, and then our original array was no longer starting from FB. It was now starting from Twitter, which is this. After removing this original item from the after removing this first 3 item from the original array, our original array was no longer starting. It was now modified. It was no longer starting from FB. It was now starting from Twitter. Do you understand so far? Yeah. So by the time I now told splice this second item, by the time I told it to start from index 3 plus 1, it counted 0, 1, 2, 3 plus 1. So it started from YouTube. Do you understand? Do we all understand that? Okay. Yeah. Let me go back. Let's take it step by step. Let me comment this one out. Let me run this. So again, take a look at our original array. FB started with FB, right? This original array. Yeah. Now the first place is saying give me the first 3 item from the array. The first 3 item from this array. So that's what this thing is saying. arrow.splice start from index 0 and stop at the index before 3. And the index before 3 is Reddit. So that's what we get here. That's what we got here. Okay. Now, if you look at this console log, this is me console logging our original array here. This is me console logging our original array. And if you see our original array here, it's no longer complete. It's no longer complete. It's not starting from Twitter. Why? Thank you. Splice has modified the array and it has removed the first three items. So to this program, to this array now, he doesn't know anything about this. This is all he knows now. This is all he knows now. From Twitter, that's what you are seeing here now, is all this original array now know. Doesn't longer know anything about these first three items. Splice has modified the original array and it has taken out the first three items. Now, unknowingly to me, I didn't know that that's what Splice did. In my head, I thought this original array is still everything. I thought it's still everything from here. Now I'm not telling you that. Remember the goal was to pop out Twitter from the array, which is the third item. So that's why I was doing items before index and items after index. In my head, I'm expecting that at the end of the day, it's only Twitter that will be missing. But now, because I used Splice modified my original array, and then I am passing this method here. I'm passing this method here, saying Splice should go 3 plus 1. Now this line, remember, this line is still me thinking this is still my original array. Do you understand? So this line is still me thinking this is still my original array. So I was expecting that by the time I say 3 plus 1, Splice is going to go 0, 1, 2, 3 plus 1, 4. Splice is going to start from here and take every other thing. That's what I was expecting. But unknowingly, the original array has been modified. It's now starting from Twitter. So 3 plus 1 is going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. Splice is going to start from YouTube and take out every other thing that's here. It's going to start from YouTube and return only these parts to me. So at the end of the day, I'm missing all of these items from my array. Do you understand that now? Yeah. So that's why when I passed in one solved the problem, because 1 just starts from here, index 1, which is index 0. Sorry, let me use this one so you don't get confused. This now our original array. 1 just starts from index 1 and takes everything down, and problem is solved. That's why that's resolved the problem. So do you understand this for Splice? Okay, so one is saying, do we all understand this? Please, if you don't understand, you can say I can go by it again. Yeah. So that's the solution. That's how you solve it with Splice. But then with Slice, the difference is that Slice does not modify. Slice leaves this the way it is. Slice does not modify. It leaves it the way it is. So even after the first 3 plus 1, after the first slice operation, this array still remains the way it was on the very beginning. So when I say 3 plus 1, it's still going to start counting from 0 and on Twitter. So it's still going to start counting from FB and on Twitter. So you see, our original array is always starting from FB, no matter what we do. This is the original array. Our original array is always starting from FB. Come on now. Yeah, it's always starting from FB, no matter what we do. FB after the first operation, FB after the second operation. So I hope we're clear on that. So now we understand why changing this to just 1 resolved the problem. We're all good on that, right? Okay. I'm moving on. Oh, if you don't understand, let me know. I'm moving on. Okay. All right. You understand. Now, avoid mutation and side effects using functional programming. Now, if you haven't already figured it out, the issue in the previous challenge was with the splice call in the close tab function. Unfortunately, splice changes the original array it is called on. So the second call on it used a modified array and gave unexpected results. That's the story for everything I've just saying. Now, this is a small example of a much larger pattern. You call a function on a variable, array, or an object, and the function changes a variable or something in the object. One of the core principles of functional programming is to not change things. Changes changes leads to bugs. It's easier to prevent bugs knowing that your function does not change anything, including the function argument or any global variable. The previous example didn't have any complicated operation, but the splice method changed the original array and resulted in a bug. Recall that in functional programming, changing or altering things is called mutation, and the outcome is called a side effect, which is, in other words, a bug. A function ideally should be a pure function, meaning that it does not cause any side effect. Let's try to master this discipline and not alter any variable or object in our code. Now fill in the code for the function incrementer, so it returns the value of the global variable fixed value by increasing it by 1. Now this is saying that we should return the value of this increased by 1, but still not change the original variable. We should return a value that is increased by 1, but yet if you console log this, it's still going to give you 4 at the end of the day. So how do we achieve that? Can you guys hear me? Oh man. Can you guys hear me? Oh, okay. Okay. So how can we solve this? I know one thing we should do first. We are supposed to return, so let me first write return. Okay, you said? So how should I go about that? Inside the function? Because what? Let me be showing you your wait, let me be showing you your handwork. Oh. As you are talking, be looking at this part. Let me take this one out first. So actually, what should I write? Okay. Yep, that's what should be returned. So you're saying that I should say let increment value equals to fixed value plus 1. Right, that's right. And then I'll now return this. Okay, let's see. Nice. Okay. Now, pass arguments to avoid external dependency in the function. The last challenge was a step closer to functional programming principle, but there is still something missing. We didn't alter the global variable value, but the function incrementer would not work without the global variable fixed value being there. Another principle of functional programming is to always declare your dependency explicitly. This means if a function depends on the variable or object being present, then pass that variable or object directly into the function as an argument. There are several good consequences from this principle. The function is easier to test. You know exactly what input it takes, and it will depend on anything else in your program. This can give you more confidence when you alter, remove, or add new code. You will know what you can or cannot change, and you can see where the potential traps are. Finally, the function would always produce the same output for the same set of inputs, no matter what part of the code executes it. Now let's update our incremental function to clearly declare its dependency. Write the incremental function so it takes an argument and then returns a result after increasing the value by 1. So let me see who wasn't. Okay, I think that guy is out. So Lydia, this is for you. What should I do? So you're saying that we should write it so it takes an argument and increase it by 1. You know what arguments are now? Function arguments, you know what they are, right? Okay, from function arguments are what you pass into function when you are declaring them up. Sorry, I didn't get that. You said? Is this my network? I can't hear you anymore. Hello, Lydia. Yeah, what they're asking is that all they're saying is that by the time we are calling this function incrementer, we should pass in this as an argument into the function. We should pass it as this parameter into the function and then increase it. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, like this return. Yeah. Like this. Remember the goal is that we should not modify this. So if I do it like this one becomes modified when it's no longer 4.
So the goal is that whenever you want to console log this, it should always give you 4. The value should never change. Yeah. So that's what they're asking for. So basically, what they're asking for here is that we should rather pass in this into this as an argument, and then increase the argument like this. Then what else? Okay. Olumide, you wanna try? Now raise it as an argument, like an argument name, so it doesn't really matter. A new function. So let's what? Yeah. This. Remember, it didn't work. We are trying not to modify this. So by the time I'm calling, if I call this function, then I pass in fixed value, if I pass into it, and then I say fixed value plus plus, that means I'm modifying this directly. Yeah, yeah. Lydia, sorry, you understand, right? Lydia. Okay, so the thing is, um, okay, so at the end of the day, they are saying that whatever it is that you do, eh, never, that's the rule, never change this from 4 to anything. Don't reduce it, don't increase it. So if I say, let me console log this. So they're saying that the value of fixed value here, and here should always be 4, no matter what you do. So if I use that method that you were saying before, which is this, which is this, right? That's what you said now, right? Yeah. So if I use this value, see what's going to happen. Um, Let me use this. Return this. Yeah. So by the time I call this, so by the time I call this function, and then I pass in this, and I say control enter. Ah, Okay, sorry. Underscore, underscore. Yeah. So let me do it again. So you see here, fixed value before is 4, but fixed value after is now 5, because I was directly increasing fixed value here, because fixed value is what I passed in when I call the function. So this thing here right now is fixed value, and that's what I console logged here. And when it got here, I increased it by 1. So by the time I was now console logging it here, it now became 5. Do you understand? Yeah. So if I comment this one out and then I bring this one back, now this is I am no longer increasing it directly. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm just adding 1 and then passing it directly to this variable. In other words, this is now the variable that is taking the new value. So if I do that and then I return this here. So if I do that, you now notice that fixed value will always be 4 no matter what I do. So it's always 4. Do you understand? Are you sure? That sounds very convincing. Are you sure you understand? Oh. Oops, yeah, problem. Sorry about that. Okay, so we can move on from this, right? I don't know if using my DD affected this one. Okay. Okay. Now refactor global variables out of function. So far, we are seeing two distinct principles of functional programming. Do not alter a variable or object. That's one. Then two, declare function parameters. Okay, let me read this one. This one is um to solve this particular problem. Yeah, to solve this particular problem, this is where the trick is. So you say create new variables and objects and return them if need be from a function. Hint, using something like const new array equals to array, where array is an arrow is an array, will simply create a reference to the existing variable and not a copy. Again, using const this equals to new array equals to old array, where the old array is an array, we simply create a reference to the existing variable and not a copy. So changing a value in new array would change the value in old array. Okay. Now, second one, declare function parameters. Any computation inside the function depends only on the arguments passed to the function and not on any global object or variable. Now, according to a number, adding 1 to a number is not very exciting, but we could apply this principle when working with arrays or more complex objects. Now, I say we should rewrite this. So rewrite the code so that the global array book list is not changed inside either function. The add function should add the given book name to the end of the array passed to it, and the return function, and return a new array. The remove function should remove the given book name from the array passed to it. And there are two things here. The first one is adding, and the second one is removing. So you do the adding, and then Lydia, you do the removing. Say note, both functions should return an array, and any new parameter should be added before the book name parameter. So what can we do here? He said we should rewrite the code so that the global array book list is not changed. Is not changed. Please take note. The global array book list is not changed inside either of the function. In other words, whether you are adding or you are removing, the global array book list should not change. Then I say we should add the given book name to the array and return the array. Then they actually go about this the adding first. Oh, someone left. Okay. Olumide, can you hear me? Olumide? Oh boy. Can anybody hear me, please? Okay, I think Olumide is off. Okay, Lydia, let's try. Do you understand what's to be done here? Yeah. Okay, so okay, you're doing the add. Okay, Olumide, is that you? Okay, okay. So you do the add and then Lydia will do the remove. So you said we should do what? I should create inside the function or outside the function. So let empty array equals to empty. So what should I do next? I should push empty array into current book list. Okay. Okay. Like this, yeah. Okay, so I can now comment this one out. I can have it. Okay. Anything else? Okay. We'll find out very soon. Don't worry. Uh, Lydia, how should you do the removing? Hello, Lydia. Okay, let's try together. Let's all. Olumide, what do you think? Lydia, what do you think? How should we do this removing?
Hello.
Okay. Are you guys still thinking? Oh, okay. It's something similar to what this guy did. Okay. It's. Okay, I don't know. Okay, let me. You know what? Let me put this your. Let me put this your code here. Stay. What is your code here? There's something I want to show you in it. Because I want to. Oh, there. What's this? Okay. So instead of using the book list, you rather use the empty this thing here and empty this thing here. Uh, okay. So, but let's try this here code and see. Okay, it doesn't work. Now, I think the only thing that's missing. Remember the part when I said if you do this. Remember this part when I said I should take note of this line, this hint here. Okay. And that way you copy. Do you know what spread operator is? It just exactly it just copies all the content of this book list into this. That's what it's doing. So if you do that, you don't need to push book list anymore because everything that's now in book list is now here. Lydia, do you understand? Exactly. In simple terms, control C, control V, control copy, control paste. That's what's happening here. You understand? So after we have everything, they will now push the new book name into this. But then I thought let's see. I thought there was a part where you saw something about both functions should return an array and any new parameter should be added before the book name. So I think I'd rather do I'd rather pass in oh man, I'd rather pass in book list as a parameter, sticking with the principle of functional programming. I'd rather pass in book list as a parameter and do the same thing here. And do the same thing here. Then also copy it here so that I can splice it. Yeah, I think this works. Okay, so before I move on, do you understand what I did? Okay, you remember the previous this thing we did when we said something about passing argument into a function. Okay, so that's what I did here. I passed in this book list as an argument into this function, and then I did the control C control V here. So by doing that, by the time I push in this into this array, this book list is no longer modified. The value, the length of this book list will always remain the same, unchanged. You remember this example, this explanation rather. Do you remember this? Where we had to pass in, yeah, where we had to pass in. Or will you prefer I copy these codes to this part to explain? We prefer that. I should copy it, yeah? Okay. Lydia, is it big enough? My text. Yeah? Really? Only can you see my screen? Lydia, can you see it? Okay. Okay, so this is our array. Come, let me just break it down so that it stays in one. So this is our array book list. This is our book list array. Yeah. Now this is our function to add. So this is our function to add, and this is our function to remove. This is our function to remove. So let's focus on this add first. So this is my add function, and then what I did was I'm passing two parameters into this function. What am I passing? I'm passing, assuming this was TypeScript, I will do this like this to tell you that okay, this parameter is of type if it's an array type, while this one is a string. So what this one is saying is that this part, what's the first thing I'm passing to this function here is going to be an array. Why this one will not be the book name? Maybe I should call this one book array so that you understand. Okay. I'll call this one book array so it's easy to relate with. Alright. So this is the book array that I'm going to pass, which is this. This is it here. And then this is the name of the new book that I want to add to the array. And then remember the previous example where we said that whatever it is that we do, remember this thing here, this fixed value, we never want it to change no matter what we do. Remember that, right? Oh, come on, guys. Can you guys hear me, please? Okay, so can you still remember this? Can you still remember this example where we say that no matter what we do, the value should remain constant and it should never be modified? You remember that, right? Okay, that's the same thing we're trying to achieve here. We are saying that even after pushing, the value of this book list should never change. It should always remain the way it is. So that means if I do console.log book array dot length, book array dot length, it should always remain the same and never change. After the push, let me push it here. Yeah, it should always remain the same and never change. So here I'm passing an array as an argument, and then here I'm making a copy of the array that I passed with this spread operator. I'm making a copy of the array that I passed, and then this my copied array. I'm pushing the name of the book that I passed in here. So by that, if I check the length of this array that I passed in, the length will always remain the same. No matter what I do, the length will always remain the same because I am not modifying it. Instead, I'm modifying something. I'm modifying a copy, and that copy is what I will now return here. Do you understand? Okay, so let me run it now. Did not put anything. Why are you not putting anything to the console log? Which part? As in, yeah. Okay, I saying that's why it's not output anything. No, I didn't call the function. Yeah. Yes. It doesn't matter. I can. It's just like variable name. I can call it anything I want. Where it matters is when I'm calling it. This part now, I must pass in book list. I can't pass in anything I want. So I'll now say new book. You understand? So your argument, name of your argument can be anything. Can be anything you want. But just try and make it descriptive you get. So you see, at the end of the day, it's always 4. And that's what we have here. This is index. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. Do you understand now? Okay. Olumide, do you understand? Okay. So that's the same thing that's happening here. I passed in the same array, and I made a copy of the array here, and then I sliced the book away from the array here, and then I returned the new array. So the trick was just in the copying. So now I can do this and do this and pass in this and then passing 1. So that's when I console log this, so that when I console log this, it's updated. Remove book list 1. Oh, let me copy. Do you know what happened? I was passing index. Initially 1 instead of passing the book name, because with the book name that they get the index here. That was what I did wrong initially. Anyway, are we clear on this now? Please, if you're not clear, let me know. Tell me where you're not clear on so I can explain. But let me there, Lydia. Are we clear on this? Okay. Okay, so we're done with this. Okay, all right. Exactly. Don't change global variables. If you want to use them, pass it into the function as an argument and then make a copy of it. Do your modification and return the new copy. That's basically it. Okay, so the next one, use the map method to extract data from an array. So far we have learned to use pure functions to avoid side effects in the program. Also, we have seen the value in having a function only depend on its input arguments. This is only the beginning, as its name suggests, functional programming is centered around a theory of functions. It will make sense to be able to pass them as arguments to other functions and return the function from another function. Functions are considered first-class objects in JavaScript, which means they can be used like any other objects. They can be saved in variables, stored in objects, or passed as function arguments. Let's start with some simple array functions, which are methods on array object prototype. In this exercise, we are looking at array.prototype.map or more simply map. The map method iterates over each item in an array and returns a new array containing the result of calling the callback function on each element. It does this without mutating the original array. I think that's like the common phrase that we heard today, without mutating the original. And when the callback is used, it is passed three arguments. Please take note of this. When the callback is used, it is passed three arguments. We'll be needing this in the next exercise. The first argument is the current element being processed. The second is the index of that element, and the third is the array upon which the map method was carried. Now see below for an example using the map method on the user array to return a new array containing only the names of the user and as elements. For simplicity, the example only uses the first argument of the callback. Now this is an array of objects, and each object has a name and age. And what's happening here is names equals to users dot map user dot name. In other words, this map is looping through each of these. It helps you normally if you want to write this on your without the map using a for loop for let I equals to 0, I less than users dot length, I plus plus, you get. But then what this map is just doing is when you just do array dot map and then you pass in your variable and then you pass in your callback function, what is happening is returning user.name. It's the first loop, it will take this item and then come here and say, okay, he said I should return user.name. It will return John. After that, we come back, come here, do the same thing, return army, then come here and return camper cat. That's what it's doing. So he said the watch list array. Yeah. Say the watch list array holds objects with information on several movies. Use map on watch list to assign a new array of objects to the rating variable. Each movie in the new array should have only a title key with the name of the film and a rating with the IBMD rating. The code in the editor currently uses a for loop to do this. So you should replace the loop functionality with your map expression. Do we understand how map? Do we understand this example that's here? Okay. Okay. So now they are saying that we should loop through this array, should loop through this watch list array and return only the title and the rating, and we should use map for it. They are currently using for loop for it. They want us to use map. So how should we go about it? This here right now is basically what's here. The only difference is that this part is returning just the user dot name, but instead we are returning the name and the rating. So you can take your key from here and let's see how do we do it. Yeah, there's a variable created already. Yeah. Okay. And that's watch list. That's what here. That's why I copied it down. Watch list. Yeah. Olumide, are you still here? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So go ahead. Yep. Dot map. Yeah. Look at this word again. What is that map? Then what's next? No. Okay, let me explain this. Yeah. So this is the array. Hmm? This is the array. This is the map function, and then this is the variable. You know when you say for, look at this yourself. So when you say for let I equals to 0, you get, so this I here now is like the variable that you want to use to represent each of the item in your array. So that's what's happening here. This user is the variable you're using to represent each of these. You're using to represent each of these. So looking at what to say I should do now, what do you think you are missing? What do you think you're missing? Okay, you need to first define the variable. You need to first define a variable that will use to represent each of the item in your array. Do you understand? Do you understand? Create. Okay, yeah, if that's what you want to use, but then yes. Do you understand? Do you understand? I am here. I'm here. I said you need to first define a variable to represent each item in your array. Yeah. Okay. So now what this list is doing now is it's going to represent each movie in your movie list, in your watch list. You get, so yeah. So what should I do next? Yeah, exactly. But then, hold on. They are saying that we should. Where is it, Seth? Ratings. So they are saying that we should push the object. So we are supposed to create an object, and the object is supposed to contain title and rating, and then we push the objects into the ratings array. So we already have our array here. So that means we are pushing this. We're pushing this. So yeah, go ahead now. You know, objects is key and value, key and value. Okay, which part? Which part is confusing? Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry. It's on the question. Yeah. Look at the question here. The question is saying that it's a use map on watch list to assign a new array of objects to the ratings variable. Now this ratings variable is our array here. Yeah, yeah. And they're saying that we should use map to assign a new array of objects. So that's why I brought in the ratings.push, because if you're about creating your object, your array of objects, and then we've not brought in this array yet. That's why I brought it in. You understand? Do you understand? Okay. So ratings dot push. So now define your objects now. Okay. Then what's next? What's next? Let me give you a split from here. So list the title. What's next? Rating it. Correct. Wow. Rating number what? It's not rating itself. We should use. So we should use the IMBD rating. Yeah. So that's this here. Yeah, yeah. So that's what's here. So by the time I take this part out, let's find out if you're correct. This is not correct. So. So you've passed this, you've passed this, you've passed this. What? Rating should equal da 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 da. So what are you missing? Let's see. So what do you think I'm missing? You said what? Okay. Olumide. Olumide, are you there? All right. So what are we missing? But to be frank, I don't think I'm missing anything. But let me reload. Let me be sure that everything is fine. Okay. So okay, I think you're actually missing something. So let's find out. So what do you think we're missing, Olinde? Yeah, see what we are missing. See what we are missing. We are referencing title from the object, but here we are using small letter for title. Yeah, I think that was actually it wasn't actually your fault. It was me who didn't reference it well. Do you understand? Do you understand? You don't sound convinced. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That was it. That was what you missed. So are you clear on that, or should I go by it again? Okay. So when you use map, when you're using map for an array, you first define the variable, and just like this that you've done now, when you said what list.map list, this list is your variable. Yeah. And our question was saying that we should push an object of title and rating into ratings variable. So that's why we have ratings.push here. So since this list contains each of the items in our array, I wish I can break this thing. So this is our first item. So when you say watch list.map list, that list takes each of these items. Share. Takes each of these. This is the first one. So it first of all come to this array. It will look at this and then come back here and say, oh man, this is long. And then come back here and say, okay, what is she asking me to do? She's saying that I should take list, I should take the title of this particular object. So it will come back to my, I think I should use this. Okay, now I'm confused. I don't know which one to help that can help me explain where. But then for this part here, for this part now, users.map user.name. So this user is representing each of these objects 1, 2, 3. So when you say user.name here, this user is going to come to this array and represent this one first. After taking this, you now come to this your function and say, okay, what does she need from me in this particular object? Okay, she needs the name. So it's going to take user.name. It's going to use how to reference how to access values in an object now using the dot notation. So it's going to say user.name. It will return it. After returning it, it will now come to this next one and say, okay, what else does she need from me here? User.name. Okay, it will take the name and give it to you, and then come back and say, what else does she need from me again from here? Still the user.name. It will take the name and then give it back to you. So that's why at the end of the day, all we had here was just the names. So if I had said user.age, if I used age, the age here, it's going to skip the name and return only the age. So that's what's happening here. Here we are telling him to give us, despite all this information that's in these objects, despite all of this, we are saying that you should take just this IMDb rating and title and give it to us and discard every other thing. So that's what this part is saying. That's what this part is saying. So this list right now represents each of these objects, And from each of these objects, we're asking it to only give us the title and the rating. And then we are putting it in an object and then pushing it into this array. Do you understand? Or did I talk too much? Are you sure you understand? Because the next one is for you to write a function that acts like this. So, do you understand this? Okay. Olumide, how about you? Are you good? Okay. Yeah. Oh, sir, if you want to talk, you just unmute and talk, because I don't look at the meeting, so I don't really know when you are raising hands. So go ahead, I'm listening. Good evening, sir. Oh, you're welcome very. Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Welcome here. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Now, this part is saying that we should write a function that makes the map. You say as you have seen from applying array.prototype.map or simply map earlier, the map method returns an array of the same length as the one it was called on. It also does not alter the original array as long as its callback function doesn't. In other words, map is a pure function and its output depends solely on its input. Plus, it takes another function as an argument. You might learn a lot about map method if you implement your own version of it. It is recommended you use a for loop or array.prototype.for each. If you write your own map method which should behave exactly like array.prototype.map, you should not use the built-in map method. The array instance can be accessed in the my map method using this. Yes, I think writing this will help you understand, will help us understand exactly what's happening. So should I just let's try. Let's try. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay, so how should we do this? Remember, map is just a beautiful way of writing for loop. Start with that. It's a beautiful way of writing for loop. And when you're using the callback function takes three arguments: the item, the index, the index, and the array that you are working on. If you remember, where was that mentioned? It was mentioned somewhere. They can be saved in variable. Okay, it was mentioned somewhere. I can't. Okay, yeah. The first argument is the current element being processed. The second argument is the index of that element, and then the third argument is the array that you are working on. Please keep that in mind. That, and also knowing that map is just a short way of writing for loop. If you keep those two in mind, you'll be able to solve this. So since map is a way of writing for loop, what should I start with? Oh, come on, guys. No, map is a way of writing for loop, and now they are saying that we should write our own map. So what should I start with? Map is a way of writing for loop. Map, for loop, map, for loop. What should I start with? Thank you. All right. So how do we write for loop? Mm, mm, go ahead. No. Do you know why? You were in the class when we talked about object-oriented programming when we were doing prototype. Yeah, and I think those said somewhere. Yeah, look at this part. It said this is prototype first of all. This array object, and then we're adding a new function called my map. So yeah, so referencing this particular object should be this. And again, they said that we should use. They said the array instance can be accessed in the my array method using this. So they should also use this instead of array. So this should represent the array that you are working on. Okay. So now we've done the looping part. We've done the looping part now. The next part now is the callback function. Are you still there? Okay. So coming back to this part, the first item that it takes is the current element. The second item is the index of the element, and the third item is the array that it's working on. That's what the callback function of map takes. Now, oh boy, okay. Now here we are writing. So we got to the part of let I equals to 0. I less than is dot map I. Thank you. Sorry. So and then we're using a callback. So what's the first item it takes? Exactly. So how do I access the current item in an array in a normal for loop? Correct. So next one, what's the next item it takes? So what's the index? No. Look at this way. Look at our code where we are starting from index 0 and we're representing each index with I. I already said that I is what we use to represent the current item. So now what's now the current index? Yeah, yeah. And then what's the last item it takes? Okay, so what are we using to represent the array? It's here, it's here. What are we using to represent the array? No, no, no. It's not just the length, it's this. Do you understand? Okay. You know what? Let me Ah, I hate this. I'll take it to the other side to explain. I'll take it to the other side to explain. Um, so we have, where's that? Let's use this array. Let's use this array. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. Now normally if I want to loop, if I want to loop over this using for loop, how will I go about how will I go about it? Come on guys, come on guys. How will I go about it? Uh-huh. Okay. Then okay. Then okay. So basically what I just want to do is I want to print out each value of I. I want to print out each of these item in the array. That's what I want to print out. So I mean console log out. So I'm just going to say console log dot log what? Are you sure it's I? Okay. Are you sure you're trying to deceive me? So which one is it? I or array bracket I? Okay. Why? Why? Do you know why? Okay. So why didn't I use I directly? Why am I using ARR bracket I? Thank you. Thank you. So that's basically you see this time we just did here now. Eh? That's what we are doing in map. The same thing here. I can come this part and say I cannot say array dot map. My I, this my I here, will now be called let me say item. Can be called anything. Well, will not be called anything. And then I'll now say console dot log console dot log arr bracket anything. So let me comment this one out, and then I do this. Wait. So yeah, I'll just map anything console dot log array bracket anything. So what are you? Are you undefined? Are you undefined? Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry. I represent index. This one represents the item. This like, do you know what's for I in and four off and four in. I think that's what it is, right? Four off. You know what four off is, right? You know the difference between four off and four in. Okay. Lydia, do you understand? Do you know the difference? When you say four in, the in represents the index. Like when you are saying four in, that means you are representing the item of the array with index. You are referencing them with the index. But when I say four off, you are not referencing them with the index. Instead, you are referencing them with the value. With the value. So that's why when I passed in um this right now is representing each of these. If you remember when I'm saying things, this your variable here is representing each of these items. It's not the index, it's the value. So that's why when I did array brackets this brackets anything gave me undefined because this is not an index, instead it's a value. So that's why I printed it out directly and then it works. So back to the reason why I came here. Would you understand that? Okay, now back to the reason why I came here. This thing here now, so I think let me copy this. Let me copy this and bring it. Let me copy this and bring it so that I'll just do swap or swap for you. So you just see. So this thing here now, all of this that you're seeing here, this I is this I that is here. This array that you're seeing here, which is your object, is this that's here. Because they told us that we should use this to represent the array. You remember that instruction, right? And then again, every other thing here, this I is just the way you see it here. And then in map, when you're doing map takes a callback function. That's this callback function that's here. It's a function. And the function takes three arguments. The function takes three arguments. The current item, the index of the current item, and the array that we are currently working on. Again, the callback functions of map takes three arguments. It takes the current item, the index of the current item, and the array that you're working on. So that's why we said when we are doing this, the way we assessed the current item in this array was array.I, right? So remember we said our array here is this. This is representing our array here, right? So if this is our array, if this is our array, and we want to access the current item, how are we going to do it? If this, yeah, is an array, it's our array right now. Like we are saying, this is representing this here, and the way we access the current item here was with array bracket I. Now I want to do the same thing with this. How are we going to do it? So you understand why we have this here now? Okay, and then remember when I was asking Olumide, initially we wrote I, and I asked him, I said I should change it to the other one, array bracket I, and then I asked him why. He said because I represents the index, which is just a number and not the value. Remember when he said that? Okay, so if we want to access the index of the current item in this array, how am I going to do it? I. Thank you. And back to the beginning, we said we're using this to represent our current array. And the third item that the callback function of map takes is the array that you are working on. Remember that rule, right? So if we want to pass the current array that we are working on, what do we pass? This. So do you understand how we came about this now? Do you understand it? Are you sure? You are not sounding very convincing. Yeah, it's a lot. But the good thing is that when you are working with the map, you don't use all of this. You don't use all of this. You just write that one line function that I wrote initially. That's what you do. That's all you need. This one is just to help us understand how it works under the hood. So Olumide and sorry, Olumide, do you understand? Hey, Olumide, don't leave us. Okay. All right. So that's how we can build that solution. So we're almost done, eh? No, it's already more than 2 hours. I think this we have just have two more. This and the next one. Sorry, three more. So, oh, filter. Another useful array function is array.filter.filter or simply filter. Filter calls a function on each element of an array and returns a new array containing only the elements for which that function returns truth value. Please, this is the key thing here. This is the key thing here for filter. Whatever it is that filter returns must be true. Like when the comparison is done, it must be true. So that is a value which returns true if passed to the Boolean constructor. In other words, it filters the array based on the function passed to it. Like map, it does this without needing to modify the original array. The callback function accepts the three arguments. The first argument is again the callback function again of filter is accepting three arguments again. The first argument is the current element being processed. The second argument is the index, just like before. And then the third argument is the array upon which the filter method was called. See below for an example using the filter method on the user's array to return a new array containing only the users under the age of 30. For simplicity, the example only uses the first argument of the callback. So here, this is taking the array, users array, and then saying again, remember when we were saying that user represents each of the item in the array. So he's saying that what this is just doing, this is saying if this is saying if the user dot age is less than 30, console log, push it into this array, push it into this array and console log. That's basically what it's saying. That's just all of this, just shorthands. Normally, if you want to write this, you'll be using if age.user is less than 30. Open your brackets, and then start pushing into the array. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Okay. So now, it said the variable watchlist holds an array of objects with formation on several movies. Use a combination of filter and map on watchlist to assign a new array of objects with only title and rating keys. The new array should only include objects where this is greater than or equals to 8.0. Note that the rating value are saved as strings in the objects and you may need to convert them into numbers to perform mathematical operations on them. So basically they are saying that we should filter, after filtering we should do map and get, just like we did before, and get the title and rating out of the array. So again, our watch list. So watch list dot, look at this, yeah, for the queue. So what should I do? Watch list dot what?
All right. Filter. Then what do I do next? What do you say? Okay. What? Remember, whenever you're using all of this thing, you must always define your variable first. Did you hear me? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. I didn't hear when you said it. So list, then we pass in our callback function. So what do you say we should do? We say we should return the list where it's greater than where the rating is greater than 8.0. So that will be what? Just like this. So that will be what? No, this is list now. This is the variable now. This was user. This is user. So yeah, it's greater than or equals to 8. Yeah. So that's the first thing that will be returned. Yeah. So they are not saying that whatever it is that is returned, we should not apply our map function like we did before. We should apply our map function like we did before, and get out only the title and rating. Remember when we did that, right? Okay, so map dot what now? Okay, sorry, sorry I don't confuse you. Let me do it like this. Um, let's new r equals to this, so that I'll not perform the map operation on this. So this now has filtered everything that's greater than 8, and then return it to this. So now we're now performing the map operation on the return value. So dot map what next? First define your variable. Remember, yeah. Let me prepare it. Let me bring in our array. So title list dot. Let me see if the title here is okay. Stick capital letter. Then rating list dot. Yeah, you understand, right? Okay. Olumide, are you back? Oh, I guess not. So I didn't hear you. Yeah, I noticed.
I noticed. Okay, so again, they're saying that we should implement our whole filtering method. Implement our whole filtering method. So, um, just like the one we did before, it's for loop again. For let I equals 0. Yeah, I less than what? I less than what? Please give me a few minutes. Just try and think on it. Like, give me 2 minutes. I'll be back shortly. Try and think on it. What should I do? What's to be done? Okay. 2 minutes, please. So what's our solution? Hello, what's our solution? Ah, you did not think. Remember now. Remember this whole. At least you should remember this. You remember this part. This whole part. Now this is where we are. This is where we are right now. Uh-huh. Then okay. So then. So remember we said difference between this one and map is that there is a comparison in filter. There's a comparison in filter. So what that means is there's going to be an if statement. Listen up. Okay, let me show you this part. This part. Filter calls a function on each element of an array. That's what we just did with the for loop, calling each element of the array, and returns a new array containing only the elements for which that function returns a truth value. In other words, there is to be an if statement. If this one is equals to this, or this one is equals to true, return the function. So that's why this is here. This part is saying if user.age is less than 80, return the user. That's what this one is doing here. I think I did. I think I did this thing somewhere. So let me use that one to explain. Oh, yeah, this is it. You see this? You see this thing that is here right now? You see this function here? Yeah. Yeah, you see this whole thing here right now. That's the same thing I just did here. This is the array. Now this is the new array, and I'm saying let user equals to 0, user underscore users dot length, user plus plus. I'm saying if user dot user, sorry, if user dot user dot age is less than 30, you see this block. That's what's happening here. That's just what it is. Everything that is this 1, 2, 3, 4 that you're seeing here is the long story I'm writing here. If user.age is less than 30, push user.user. Well, let me use I so it not be confusing. Let me use I. So the whole of that filter is what's happening here. Or should I bring it? Should I bring this one in? So and let me console log. So let me comment out this and where is the console log? Okay, I think that's this place. Okay, so at the end of the day, these two they are supposed to console log the same thing. You see it, right? You see the one that we did with for loop, the one we did with filter, the one we did with for loop, they are console logging the same thing. So this whole thing that they try doing in their example in one line, that's what I'm writing this comprehension passage for. So that's just it. Filter uses a for and if. The for is to loop through the item of the array, then the if is to check for the condition. That's this condition right now here. This is a condition that was passing to the function. So the if is to check for the condition to see if that particular element meets that condition. Of course, you know what happens here. If it doesn't meet, if it checks and then insists that the age is greater than 30, what's going to happen? Will you push it or it will skip it? Ah, auntie. Okay, exactly. So if it checks and then insists that it's not true, that's where that truth this thing came from. If it checks and then insists that it's not true, it will skip it. But if it is true, it will push it. So where are we? Where were we? Oh, okay, I went back. So that is why we have this for loop first to loop through the array, and now we're adding the if statement. Do you understand so far? Okay. So what is this we should do with the if self? Okay, this if statement now, this is where we do the callback. That's this callback that was passed in. So basically, like we did before with our callback, callback takes how many? Callback takes how many function? How many this thing? How many variables? Sorry, 3. Okay. So what's the first one? And that's so. What's the next one? Okay. What's the last one? Which item are they called? Which item is that? Which item are you referring to? No. Hold on. Start again. Callback takes three arguments, right? The callback function takes three arguments. What's the first? What's the first item? So what's the next? Okay, then what's the next one? It's the array. Yeah, you get the shot, but it's not. You didn't use the right name. It's the array that you're working on. The current array that you're working on. Yeah. So this is where the whole comparison is done to see if it is true. Then if it's true, we push in the item into the array. So just like I did with this, if it is true, you push it. If it's not true, skip. That's what I'm doing here too. If this whole thing resolves to true, push it into the array. Else, you skip it. Do you understand? So let's see. Yeah. Olumide, do you understand that? And then so we're almost done. We're almost done. So Olumide, is he back? Can you hear us, Olumide? Okay. Okay, no problem. I still have. We just have one more time. One more topic to go. So, if I want to go over it again, I still have like I think I still have like a few minutes before. It's supposed to be somewhere by 5, but then if I should I go over it again? Okay. Okay, no problem. So. Yeah, I think this part will be better. So you see this thing that's here. This is our array. This is our array, and then the filter. This filter is working on this array, which is this, and then this user, just like before, define a variable to represent each element in the array, right? And then this our callback function is taking this, is checking for this condition. So what filter does is it's going to go through this array and only give you things item where the age is greater than 30. So if you look at this array now, the items in this array, which of them do you think which of them is greater than, sorry, is less than 30? Which age is less than 30? Yeah, 20 and 10 exactly. So that means at the end of the day, after filter now, well, think of sieve. Think of sieve in your house when you want to sieve something. The bigger ones is only the sieve that can pass through the hole that you get if you bake, yeah, and then you're trying to sieve your flour. The fine flour will pass through your sieve, but then the residue will remain in the filter. Hi, please tell me that you know sieve in your kitchen. At least tell me you enter kitchen. Exactly. So that's what this one is doing. That's just what this one is doing. Yeah, it's applying a function to them. That's uh this callback function here is just what it's doing is it's applying. No, it has a condition. It has a condition and then checks each of the item against that condition to see which one is true. That's what it's doing. It has a condition. The condition it has is this. Yeah, it's telling you that if anybody must pass through you, make sure that the person is less than 30. If the person is less than 30, tell the person to go back. That's what it's doing here. So that's the condition that we've given the filter. So we'll now take that condition. Filter will now apply the condition to this array. And then Mr. John will come. It asks Mr. John, how old are you? Mr. John will say 30. Tell Mr. John, please, kindly get out of my sight. Mr. Army will come. Mr. Army will say, how old are you? Mr. Army says, okay, I'm 20. Okay, you can come in. It will not push it into this one. It's not like you're really pushing that, but then if returning it's not returning back to this one and say, okay, this one passes our condition, let him in. If you go to the next item and check and say this one is age 10, to compare it, is it less than 30? Yes, it's less than 30. Okay, you can come in. That's what filter is doing. It's basically taking the things that meets a particular condition and returning them back to you. Do you understand this part? Okay, so now this one liner here now is what is broken down here. It's what's broken down here. Just as usual, when we do our for loop, for let I equals to blah 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 and all of this. And then this is where we are now applying this condition. This condition you are seeing, this condition that you are seeing here is what we are applying here. We are saying if the user's age is less than 30, let them control and push them into this. But if they are less than 30, I asked the question before, if it's less than 30, what's going to happen? Lydia says it's going to skip. So that's what's happening here. So okay, if it's less than 30, please don't allow them in. That's what's happening here. Do you understand? You understand so far? Okay. Okay, do you have any question here? Because I want to move on to the assignment proper. Okay. So let's move on here. Now, they are now saying that we should apply, just like we did for map before, let's write our own filter function manually. And again, remember when we did for map, if I still have it, yeah, remember when we did for map, we said this represents the array that you're working on, right? Yeah, I represents the current item that you're working on, and then in all of that. So that's the same thing we are doing here. So first of all, we did the loop. We did the loop to loop through each item, and this was representing the array that we're working on. And then since we are working on filter needs a condition to check. Filter needs a condition that it needs to check against to know what to do. So that was where this condition came in. This condition, just like we had this condition here. Oh, where is it? Okay, just like we had this condition here. Remember this, right? Exactly. So just like we had that condition here, that was where this condition came in. This condition came in, and then again we said that filter takes a callback function, and the callback function takes 3 arguments. And then we went on to say what are the 3 arguments that the callback functions normally take. That's this, and this. The item that you're working on, the current item, the index of the item, and then the current array that we are looping through that you're working with. So that means if this whole comparison is not true for each item, it's going to be returned. But if it is true, it's going to be pushed into this. Yeah, but then at the end of the day, what you should actually get out of it is how to use this filter, because you will be doing it. If you have your filter, you don't need to be doing all this manual this thing. Just know how this one works. Just know how this one works. That's how you use your filter. This is just to help you understand how it works under the hood. Exactly. Okay. The last one. Remember the slides we worked with initially from in the first distant work. Not sorry, it wasn't the first. In the beginning of the class, the slides we worked with here. It said the slides method returns a copy. If you still remember that, if you still remember that, I don't know if I still have it. Exactly. So I don't know if I still have it. There was somewhere where I used. And here, if you still remember this part where. Hey, sorry, it's not. Oh boy. Yeah. Where passing 1 made it different from where you use index plus 1. You still remember that that exercise, right? Okay. Lydia, are you still here? Sorry, we're almost done. This is the last one. Okay. Okay, the slice method returns a copy of a certain element of an array. It can take 2 arguments. The first argument gives the index of where to begin the slice, and the second argument is the index of where to end the slice, and it is non-inclusive. If the arguments are not provided, the default is to start at the beginning of the array through the end, which is an easy way to make a copy of an entire array. The slice method does not mutate the original array. Remember when we're talking about splice and slice. The slice method does not mutate the original array, but returns a new one. Here's an example: const blah 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 array slice 1 3. So what do you think this array the slice 1 3, what's it saying? Where's the one? Where's it supposed to start? Yeah, so yeah, one big dog. So where will it stop? That's what? Tiger, exactly. So you remember, you can still remember why now, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So use the slice method in the slice array function to return part of the anim array given the provided begin slice and end slice index. The function should return an array. So the last exercise for today is to modify this function so that it can use the slice to return part of the array. So here the array is given. The array is passed as an argument. The beginning of the slice is passed as an argument, and um, the end of the slice is passed as an argument. So this is our array. So using this as your cue, this is the array, this is the slice, this is the beginning, this is the array, this is the slice, this is the beginning, and this is the end. So use that as a cue. How do we do this? How do we do this? Oh, come on, guys. Don't fail me now. Oh, can you see it now? Anim. Just like animal, anim, just anim. Yeah. So this is what you should look at. This is the cue for it, for the for solving the problem. So this is array, this is the beginning, this is slice. So from our example now, for my exercise, this is the array, this is the beginning, this is the end of the slice. So how should I go about it? No, 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 no. No, no, ignore all of this. Let's start from here. Yeah. This is it. We are using the beginning as and end. We are using the parameters as passing into the function. Yeah. Yeah. What next? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You understand now? You understand why, right? Why? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay. So now the function was called here, and then this array was passed, this array to work on, and 1 was passed as the beginning where we wanted to start rather, and 3 was passed as where we wanted to stop. So if we do this, what do you think is how you think it's gonna work? What's going to English? What do you think is going to console log or rather return? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, yeah, it not work. Oh. Uh, okay. So what's wrong? I mean, that's this one. It is this array. Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah, I can hear you. Oh. Oh. Okay. 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 Yeah. We're almost done actually. This is just the last part. And funny enough, I'm not really sure why this thing is not working because slice dot anim dot slice pass begin slice and end slice. Oh, what's the error? Okay, let me reload. So what's the error? So use the slice method in slice function to return part of. Oh, okay. Do you know what the problem was? Return. We didn't have return statement. Yeah. Though. Okay, so that's the last part. That's the last topic. So we're done. Yeah, I know. I know. Done. So I'm done. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Like I said initially, I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you a JSON object. You know what you do? Can you send your first name, your last name, your and the username? Yeah, send to me. Then I will send a JSON object containing similar data. So what you are supposed to do is you map through the array and filter only your data out, eh? And then combine your first name and last name into one key using full name instead of first name and last name. Do you understand? Yeah, I will sure. I was saying I'm just saying now. So for example, at the end of the day, if you send me something like this, say first name this, last name this, and then username is this. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So I'm going to send you a JSON object that contains maybe like of this, seven of things like this. So your job is to filter through that array. So not JSON object, I'm going to send you an array that contains things like this. Your job is to filter through that array and bring out only your data. You get, bring out only your data. But at the end of the day, what you are returning to me is going to be like this: full name, full name. It's going to be your first name, and your last name. Yeah, and then user is going to contain the same thing. So by doing this, you made use of filter and you made use of map, which are like the major thing we learned today. Do you understand? Okay. Just in case you don't want to do this together, if you just do full name, pass your full name as key, then you pass in your full name plus. Just use plus. You get, but then you can also use, just add space to it so that there'll be space between them. There'll be space between them. So this one will help you get it. Yeah, so if you can just send your first name, your last name, and username to me on WhatsApp via WhatsApp, so that I'll create the array and then send it back to you guys. That'll be fine. Okay, and I'm done. No, so I'm done. What? Yes, yes, yes. Either via group or send it via group. No, so is that okay? I know, hope you not be spamming. Yeah, to the group, yes. Okay, okay. So you're saying to the group, yeah. If what? Yes, yes, yes. I'll just saying I'll put it in writing and then give example of how the final data will be then send to the group. Okay. So I think I am finally done. Thank you for coming and thank you for being responsive. Okay. Yeah, no problem.